working on my phone to make sure we're here. But if you're joining us, we're so happy to have you, and grab a hot drink. I always have tea with me in the evening, so feel free to grab that. And we have a special guest. Yeah, it's working. All right, so if you are in the audience, we would just love to see that you're here. So give us a little wave or a thumbs up in the comments, and then we'll know you're participating. Let us know what you're drinking as well. I've got peppermint tea tonight. Do you have anything, Dawn?
I have water, classic
good.
and natural.
Very good. All right, well, I see that it's working, so we'll get started. We're a couple minutes over 7:30. So welcome once again. This is Tuesday night, and this is the night that AO1 Fitness goes live every week on our Facebook page, and we love to chat about topics that help us live life well. And today we are so thrilled to have our guest, Dawn Marie. She's here with us. And I'm just going to give a full disclosure right out from the start because I'll probably just slip it later. Dawn Marie is one of our sisters. So if you know Stephanie and myself at AO1 Fitness, we're sisters. And we have two other sisters. And this is our baby sister. Yes. She's not a baby anymore, but she's always going to be our baby sister. And this is Dawn Marie. So if I accidentally call her Donnie, that's why. But no one else is allowed to call her Donnie. Only her sisters.
Family only.
Dawn Marie and Steph's on the chat. And then if you've probably seen some posts and other videos we have of our other sister, Rochelle. And we're all great friends and we love each other. And this is fun that we get to do this together. So Dawn Marie is part of another company called Food on the Grow. And we're going to be discussing a little bit about that and the company that brings up microgreens and the benefits of that. But we're also going to get into her story. And it's a really interesting story. And I don't want to give too much away, but it starts with her recovering from a concussion, quite a serious concussion, and then growing it into this business. So we will get into that. But just to start off, I would like to know from the audience that's watching us. Hi, Steph. Hi, Grace.
Happy birthday, Steph. We should probably mention it's her birthday.
Yes. Why don't you? Yes. So our other sister, Steph, it is her birthday, April 28th today. So happy birthday, Stephanie. Flood her Facebook page with posts. So if you're in the comments, I just want to know, general question, do you need to add more greens nutrition into your life? Yes or no? Are you doing well on that? Or is that something you need to add more to? So yes.
Always yes.
Yes. All right. And Dawn Marie, I want to now officially welcome you to our AO1 Conversation show. Welcome. And would you just start by sharing just a little bit about yourself?
Sure. So I currently live in a tiny house. I have for the past 4 years with my husband.
Like a real tiny house, not just a small house.
True. Often when I say that, people are, oh yeah, my house is small too.
Yeah.
Cool. Mine's 300 square feet. We're on a trailer. And it's been awesome. We love it. So it's just a different way of living, but it's just become normal. We forget that it's unusual for most people because we just love our space and we got to design it, and it's everything we could want for our home.
Yeah, that was really cool when you guys were going through that process of designing and making it as user-friendly as possible in such a small space. And it's really beautiful too. Really nice.
I could give you a quick tour, but maybe after. And we just recently adopted a dog. His name is Sammy. And so it's like we have a big kid in our family. We're a family of 3 all of a sudden. So it's been very fun and exciting. And we just live in such a beautiful town. We're up here in Pal River, so we are just surrounded by ocean and forest, and we're just so grateful to live where we do.
Yeah, absolutely. It is. We've visited a few times, and it's gorgeous there, and perfect place to have a tiny house and a huge dog in your house. And
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Very good. Okay, let's jump into just first right off the bat. So Dawn Marie is from Food on the Grow, and that is at foodonthegrow.com.
Yes.
Okay. So just in general, what is Food on the Grow?
So we are a family business. So it's run by myself, my husband, Dan, and then our parents, Chris and Melody. And so we came up with this name because we wanted to really create a product that was convenient for people so that people could just grab it from the grocery store. It could be so quick and easy. So that's on the go part of it. But we also wanted a really fresh, nutrient-rich product. So that's food on the grow portion. So we've been growing microgreens kind of more the traditional way for the first few years. And that worked well. It was a really great learning curve, and we learned lots about microgreens and how beneficial they are. But we kept coming across this hurdle of they don't last very long once they're harvested. So it was very tough to sell in stores unless we could just cut it and give it right to the customer and them eat it right away. They just weren't getting the full benefit from them. So we kind of reinvented the wheel a bit and figured out a way to design our products so it could still be living in the store. So it's still fresh, living microgreens once you purchase it from the grocery store and bring it to your house still alive, and then you cut it the amount that you want when you want, so the rest still stays alive.
Oh, I wish we actually had some to show, because that concept is very different. Like, rather than getting a thing of broccoli and it's already cut off, whatever.
You have no idea when it's been harvested. Like, it doesn't really say that when it comes to produce.
Yeah.
It's just a very new concept.
Right.
So you still see the dirt that it's in, the seeds that it's in.
So just describe, I mean, obviously I've seen them, but what exactly would they see in the store? It's like sitting in a...
So we have these paper pulp baskets, which are completely biodegradable. You can throw them in your compost bin afterwards. And so we have organic soil and then organic seeds. And they're grown very densely within this little basket, so that you get this lush, thick basket full of living microgreens. And we've got a label on top, and it has a bit of instruction on how to take care of it and that kind of thing. Some people hold it like a handle. If you've just watered it, careful, it can be a little heavy, but then you just get this basket full of living greens right in your hand that you can bring to your kitchen. So it's like bringing the farm to your table, to your kitchen. So you don't need to be out in a traditional farm. You can bring it right to you.
Awesome. Okay, let's share a little bit about how it started. And I mean, as your sister, I know a little bit about this, but I'm curious just to hear even more just how your story, how did this start, and just where did you come from with this?
Okay, well, this was about 4 years ago, just shortly after we got married, actually. So it was a bit of a challenging start for us, but we came through it strong in the end. So I bumped my head. It seemed pretty minor at the time, and then I started to notice a few little odd things here and there, and eventually I got convinced to go to a doctor and get checked out. So if ever you're feeling really stubborn and saying, I'm fine, if you're not fine, go get checked out.
Like, you got hit pretty hard.
Yeah, I won't go in detail of how it happened and all that, but it turned out a lot more serious than I realized, and typically most professionals would say, oh yeah, concussion should last about 3 weeks and you should be fine, back to normal, but mine seemed to linger quite a bit longer than that. So as soon as I went to the doctor, they said, stop work, you can't do anything, go home. No more TV, no screens, even minimal reading, no loud noises, no big lights. It was just stop your whole life. Wow. And so I did that. I was off work for it's kind of a blur, maybe a month or two, and then went back to work. I was so eager, just get my life back. It was so hard to just stop. So anyone who's in quarantine right now or in isolation, the frustration of that, just stop. I get it. I've been there.
Have been you were literally living like we are today, but worse because you couldn't even watch
Netflix, TV. Guys.
So you were in full lockdown in your dark bedroom, like quarantine, basically. Yeah, that was been so challenging.
Constantly worried about overdoing it because it was this invisible injury. So that I was still learning about, and in order to learn about it, I usually needed to be on a screen or reading. So I could only get small information and doses at a time. I went back to work and just overdid it, too much, too fast. So then needed to go off work again. And by then it was quite a recipe for depression, of just no purpose, just staring at a wall. I needed something to do to occupy my time, to create a purpose again while I recovered. And the more I tried to strive and do things, the worse it seemed to get. So I really needed to slow down and find something very therapeutic and relaxing. So
Mm,
we were working on a garden. We've done a traditional garden maybe a year or so prior to this, and we were learning, and we'd started ours, and it was great. And my husband is very tech savvy and very business minded, and really
mm.
just likes to do things against the grain. So he was doing some research while looking up gardening things and came across hydroponics and thought, oh, that's pretty interesting. So anyone who doesn't know what that is, it's growing different, untraditionally. So not in the ground, not necessarily in soil. So hydroponics is with water. You may have heard of aquaponics. That's with fish.
Mhm.
So with hydroponics, you put your nutrients in the water, and
Mm.
it can either be horizontal or it can be vertical growing. So
Wow.
we thought that's pretty cool. You can save a lot of space. We're very space efficient, space savvy mindedness, if that's a word, being in a tiny house. So I was thinking, okay, how else can we save some space? Be even outside. So started looking into hydroponics and growing vertically.
What
We
did you grow first with hydroponics?
we started with mint, and it just grew wonderfully. It smelled amazing.
Yeah,
Anytime
that's
we went near it, it was so
good.
fragrant. So we built
Oh,
our own greenhouse and we set up some towers just to see how
yeah.
it would go. And the mint just grew like a forest inside our greenhouse, which was really cool to see. Just so
Wow.
different from anything we'd ever seen before. And then we
Mm.
got into basil as well.
Mm.
And
So,
so
oh, so fragrant.
so fragrant, yeah, and it's so nice just have these fresh herbs in my cooking. Suddenly cooking got exciting again because I had all these new
Yeah.
challenges, had incorporated what new recipes could I try. And then as we're researching, you kind of go down the rabbit hole when you start looking on YouTube. You look at one thing and then it leads to another and another. And then we came across microgreens and how fun and simple and therapeutic it could be to start growing these. And
Yeah.
so we thought, okay, well, we can pick up some supplies and give it a try. And so the hydroponics kind of became more of Dan's project, and then the microgreens kind of became more mine. So
Mm.
I had thousands of tiny little babies, and it was very exciting to watch them all pop up and learn about the different varieties. And that
Yeah.
became our thing, that became our project. And just walking into the greenhouse was just, it was my happy place, my peaceful place. It was just, that's where I
Mm.
could grow, that's where I could heal. And yeah, it was a very great space to create.
Wow, that's so good. I just remember the conversations back then, like that was years ago, and you just the frustration at first of like, because you're so extroverted, you're such a people person, and you need that stimulation from being busy too. And
Mm-hmm.
so, like, yeah, and for you to find something so peaceful and therapeutic and purposeful is and now for it to have become such a strong business as well, like just it's such a cool process to see. um, I'm going to ask a question for the audience as well. So for the rest of you who's watching either now live now, or a lot of people will watch it on replay, either here on Facebook or on YouTube or our website, would you just put in the comments just ways, because we're in quarantine now, so there's a lot of reasons that we wanted to bring Dawn Marie on now, because, hey, it's gardening season. So if you are curious about starting gardening, this is a great time to get into it. You're kind of right at the tail end too. It's also a time where we need to be as healthy as possible. We need to keep our immune systems thriving because of this COVID-19 that's around. So we need the greens in our life, but also we're in lockdown. And so I just love that Dawn Marie's story of her, it's not quarantine, obviously, but you were in kind of isolation mode and finding something, even within that limited resources you were allowed to pursue, you found something therapeutic. So for those of you watching, what have you found in these last few weeks to be therapeutic to you? Crafts, reading, poetry, writing, music. I don't know. Everyone has their own little thing, but what has been therapeutic to you? And then Don, as you guys are posting in the comments, Donnie, I would just love to ask your opinion. Like, so other than gardening, or maybe you want to expand on that, what are some other ways that you would suggest someone find
Sure.
therapy? It's not really therapy, but
Yeah.
therapeutic,
Any way
peaceful.
to add more joy into your life, right?
Yeah.
Anything that's exciting that you want to do again. It's not just, yeah, okay. It's like, I can't wait to do that. Something else that I'd started doing that I was, for the first time, I learned how to crochet. So I can't say now that I've picked up my busy life and schedule again, I haven't crocheted much since, but it was so exciting just to start from a piece of string, some yarn, and then to turn it into some dishcloths or even a blanket. Like it's just, oh, I can't wait to make this bigger. I can't wait to see what this will turn into. So anything with your hands is very exciting to see what you can create.
Yeah,
I also
absolutely.
got into some Sudoku puzzles. I still love them today, but I just found it so rewarding. Just, I found another number. I made another line. It
Yeah.
brought so much, it was simple, but it brought so much joy to my life, so much excitement.
Wow. That's awesome. I've been doing, well, we've also started a garden this year. Tomorrow I'll post the blog post on that.
Yeah.
But I've never done it before. And so yesterday was the first time. I think we've lived here 6 years in this house. And it was the first time I've ever weeded, ever. And I found this like underground maze. Like someone had put a tarp very smartly over the main flower beds that I've never touched. But underneath, it was like this maze of, yeah. So it was very rewarding to just like find
Rip
the
it up.
last part of the fruit. And it was therapeutic just to get your hands dirty and in the ground and being grounded. My husband loves to read classics and deep kind of thinking books. He's been doing that a lot. Chris says he's been doing a lot of writing. Yeah, that's definitely very therapeutic. We're going to talk in a couple other episodes about journaling and how therapeutic that is, and just how beneficial that practice is as well. And just it's a safe place to go through your emotions and process things in a written journal. But so continue to comment on the page here of what are things that you're doing, because maybe your comment will help someone else who isn't quite sure what they should try. Okay, so Donnie, is there anything I missed from that before I move on? Just about the gardening portion or how it went from a hobby to a business.
Sure. So I can touch on, so then we kind of thought, okay, how can we make this one step further? And so this was totally outside of mine and Dan's comfort zone, but we started to sell at the farmers market here. And I remember the first time that we were driving up, our hearts were just racing. Neither of us had felt that nervous in a long time because it was something totally new. It was a whole new challenge. We didn't know what to expect, and we were bringing a totally new, different product that our town has never seen before. We were the first ones to bring microgreens here, and we also eventually brought some of our hydroponic towers as well. Like, we turned heads. We had to answer questions. We needed to know our stuff. So we brought it, and the first week we just had such an amazing response. People were so interested, and they had 1,000,001 questions, but we seemed to know the answers. So like, okay, cool, we know what we're doing, awesome. And we suddenly had restaurants approaching us saying, we want your basil, we want your microgreens. Okay, we like all that we could imagine was selling at the farmers market, and that would have been awesome. And then suddenly we have customers approaching us, so then we started to sell to restaurants flats of microgreens, and we eventually got into grocery stores. And it was just amazing how quickly it expanded and how people were just hungry for this product, for microgreens, and for the herbs we were growing. And so then we decided to expand with our parents down in the city and then really focus on the business side of it once we'd kind of seen how this hobby could turn into something very successful and very attractive for people.
So let's talk about why. Why are people so interested in microgreens? What is the main benefit to having them? Like, what is the nutrition of them, and what will it do for you compared to regular things?
Well, typically people like to ask, okay, so what do I do with these microgreens? I just put them in salad, like it's just a garnish. Like, people aren't quite sure. So it's a great question.
Right.
So these, I call them just like little health warriors. They are just jam-packed. They are just super condensed with nutrients. So let's talk about broccoli, for example. That's one of our most popular microgreens. It's this teeny tiny little delicate stem with 2 little leaves. That's it. And we have hundreds, if not thousands, in a basket. You get tons in that basket. So that one little stem and two leaves comes from one seed. That one seed would grow into a full broccoli plant. So you get all of the nutrients from an entire broccoli plant, all the nutrients in the leaves, in the stem, that you wouldn't normally eat when you're eating a full-size broccoli. You get all of that in one tiny little guy. And so
Wow.
just stop and imagine how full you'd be eating a whole broccoli plant. Not just the crown, but the whole thing.
And who would ever do that?
No
Like,
one, right?
I don't even,
You'd never do that.
I know people
And
do.
you'd be so full, and it wouldn't taste great. You wouldn't have much variety. And then move over to microgreens. That one little guy has all of those nutrients, and you could just eat a whole handful and not think twice.
Yeah.
So you can incorporate that handful of just loaded nutrients that you could never consume on the full scale into all your food. Every meal you could just have handfuls of just tons of nutrients. So that's why I call this a superfood. It is just
Yeah,
condensed
it really
in a way
is.
that you wouldn't be able to get. Yeah.
So what kind of things can you make that is microgreen? Like, could any plant become a microgreen? Or
Yeah,
do
it's
you,
the way that it's grown. So
yeah.
any seed, it grows to that size and then eventually would keep growing to a full size. So as you're learning with gardening, you need to
Yeah.
space things out. And if you haven't spaced it out well, you will learn very soon that things
I
are
need
way too
to
crowded, they'll
garden.
overtake each other. Yeah. So the reason we jam pack them so closely is because they're supposed to be consumed at this small level that they're not going to overcrowd each other yet. So if
Okay.
you let that one seed keep growing, if you planted it traditionally, it would grow like a full-size vegetable, full-size whatever plant that you've planted.
So it's the same seed. It's just the way you've planted it and then
Exactly. Yeah.
harvest it.
So
Wow.
you buy microgreen seeds. They are cultivated a certain way to eventually be
Okay.
growing in those prime conditions.
Yeah.
But essentially, it's the same thing.
Wow. So what are some types of microgreens that you sell and other people have consumed before? So the broccoli, what else?
Yeah. Super popular one is pea shoots. So I loved when we sold at the farmer's market, we would offer free samples, and most people were like, oh, I don't know what that is. Maybe if it was new. And we'd
Yeah.
offer to kids, and kids just love pea shoots. I've never seen a kid who doesn't like pea shoots. And they'll try it, they'll show it to their parents. Their parents will try it, like, wow, my kids are eating vegetables. Let's buy more. So pea shoots definitely an easy sell because they're just delicious. They're just so full of flavor and just easy to get your kids to eat. And we
Yeah.
also have sunflower, which is not a vegetable; it's a flower, and you've also got the seed in there.
Huh.
So if you let that sunflower seed grow, you would get the flower. But when you have it as a microgreen, it is this crunchy, nutty flavor,
Yeah.
and it's so nice on your stir fries. It's so nice just as a snack. I eat them like chips. They're so addicting because they just have such a nice flavor to them.
Can I put you on the spot? I'm curious. What would be the nutritional value of a sunflower? I don't know if like I
Um,
know
I,
broccoli has much, but I was curious about sunflowers because I have tried them obviously from you guys. I put you on the spot. I'm sorry.
that's okay. I don't have these things memorized, but I do have it in front of me. So let me pull that up because that is a good question.
Okay.
And I know there's many, and it's okay. So I've got them here. So it's very rich in vitamin B6, which any vitamin B is great for stress.
Yeah.
So not only is it delicious, but it's calming, great for you. It's got vitamin E, calcium, iron, magnesium, niacin, phosphorus, and potassium. So lots
Wow.
of great things in there.
Yeah.
Also protein and dietary fiber, of course.
There's protein in it?
Yeah, because
Are there
it comes
other
from
ones or just
like a
some?
sunflower seed, right? So seeds are a great source of protein.
Oh, okay. And I guess pea would also have protein because you can get pea protein powder for people who
Mm-hmm.
are, vegan and whatnot. Oh,
Yeah.
that's so interesting. And I was just gonna also add, like, yeah, for kids, like this is ideal. Like my 3-year-old will definitely eat microgreens. He'll just snack on them. But if I put it in like smoothies, it's just like we'll talk about smoothies in a little bit, but it just magnifies the nutritional value. Or just they're so small that you can stick it in things where if I put regular broccoli or kale, he notices and he's like, I don't want the green stuff. But if it's like the shoots, especially the broccoli shoots, because they're so thin, totally can get away with it.
Yeah.
And I know you haven't talked about wheatgrass yet, but that's another way I can sneak into my kids. Usually, like we have a coconut yogurt bowl in the morning with all the berries and stuff like that. And we use the wheatgrass powder that we've cut, like harvested and then heated or dehydrated. And then I just put the powder in, and then they don't know. And that's also super nutritious. So lots of ways to get your
super mom superpower that they don't know about, but you know your kids are healthy.
Yes. Okay. Any other nutrients, things that we haven't gone over yet about microgreens, or just added benefits for it? Obviously, increased energy. I know, like Dad talks about, he can sleep better after eating it. He doesn't have scientific proof, but he just notices from experience he sleeps better after he has it.
Yeah, definitely. And just less brain fog, especially after concussion. And just, more mental clarity is so great. You just feel like my brain's just activated and getting all the nutrients it's been craving.
We didn't actually discuss that, but were the actual like eating for you of the microgreens help with your recovery, not just the therapy of doing it, but actually eating it?
Yeah, I mean, again, anything that's brain related, it's invisible. So it's hard to know exactly this did this, but I felt better. I knew I was putting good things in my body, so I just didn't feel so just sluggish and foggy like I had without them. So it's great for any kind of brain function.
Wow, that's awesome. Yeah.
Another cool aspect, speaking of Chris, of our dad, and also our friend Nikki, they've both mentioned that they have an intolerance to different vegetables. So Dad, he gets very upset stomach when he has broccoli, but he loves the broccoli microgreens and hasn't noticed that. And Nikki has also mentioned that she can't have full-grown peas, but she loves pea shoots because they just don't upset her the way that they did before. So having them younger is great. If you have an allergy, then give it a try in small doses, of course, but see if you suddenly can get those nutrients from that vegetable you couldn't in full size.
That's so fascinating. I won't get into this, but a similar thing is with pure therapeutic essential oils that some people find they're allergic to an orange, but they can use and to have the benefits of an orange essential oil. But we won't get into that. But yeah, that is really interesting. Chris posted a comment. It showed that microgreens are up to 40 times more nutritious than the mature counterpart. Huh. Wow. Yeah, that is like 40xing. Usually we're like, let's 3x whatever, but 40.
It's a lot. And I think a big reason for that is because it's so concentrated in this tiny little stem, like I'd mentioned. And then as it grows, so just picture broccoli, for example, all those nutrients are also passing through those huge leaves that you're not going to eat. It's passing through those huge thick stalks that you just cut off. So you're just getting a small amount in the actual vegetable that you consume. And also after it's harvested, you lose nutrients as well. So you're not going to get the benefit of the full vegetable, of the full plant, whereas everything is in that tiny little stem.
Yeah, and so fresh the way you guys package it and deliver it. That's like so beneficial. Yes. Okay, on the comments, we love conversations, so we'd love for you to reply back. But how do you, whether you have microgreens or not, because there's other greens out there that are fantastic for us, and we need to be packing those into our life right now. So how do you get greens into your diet? Is it a smoothie? Is it stir fries? Is it making it into a powder and sprinkling it? How do you do that? So we've mentioned some of the ways that we do it. I love yogurt bowls. I can pack so much nutrients into it and my kids will eat it. There's chia seeds and there's wheatgrass powder and there's all sorts of berries and whatnot. Any other ways that you have, Dawn? Little tips on how you get greens into your diet?
Sure, yeah. I mean, anytime I'm making a sandwich, you could put your iceberg lettuce that has no nutrients, or you could throw microgreens on it, you know.
Yeah.
It might look similar having green, but doesn't mean it's the same nutritional value. So knowing that you've got
Right.
these like superfood little greens on your sandwich, suddenly, you've got a lot more nutrition. Or same with wraps, right?
Yeah.
I love adding it to any kind of salad. I love doing just microgreen salad. Then, you have tons of nutrition.
Yeah.
I love making stir fries. So they say microgreens are best to consume raw. So or just slightly steamed. They eventually get mushy if you're cooking them too much, and the nutritional level will start to decrease. So as I make a stir fry, I just put them right on top and then I eat it right away. So my favorite for that is definitely sunflower microgreens, because those are just so crunchy and have such a nice flavor. But any of them are great on top of stir fry. Same thing on top of soups is great. Like I mentioned, raw snack.
Yeah.
Just if you have a bowl of them in front of you, you'll be surprised how much you keep reaching for them. Or seasoning on top of your meats. And then, of course, in my morning smoothies, I definitely love them there.
Yeah. Michelle says, I put greens in stir fry and soup and on top of my eggs. Oh, there you go. On omelets. Yeah,
Right.
of course.
Yeah.
Veggies and omelets. That's really good. Yeah, so good. My secret way to get my family to eat more greens is pesto, but I make it like non-traditional, and I will add like as much greens as possible, and I'll add kale and spinach as well, cilantro, like whatever greens we have, and then you mix it up. And we usually do dairy free with like a coconut milk, and then the basil. These guys have really, really good fresh basil. Some lemon juice and garlic is so good, and you can put it on chicken or pasta or anything really, and it just makes it so good. Yeah. Good. Okay, well, keep commenting with the way you get greens into yourself and your family. Donnie, let's move into smoothies. So I hinted at our audience today that you would be sharing your how do you call it? Your super jam-packed, crazy, amazing smoothie or something? Do you have a name?
It's not a smoothie. I don't have a special name for it. It's how I make them. Everyone will make them a little differently, but I usually stick to kind of the same formula because I know the flavor and the nutrients that I like to add in there.
Okay.
Yeah, but so I have an Ace blender made from Instant Pot, and so it blends amazingly. You can also make soup out of it, which is very cool. I know there's many different brands that work similar, but I love this blender. It's awesome. It was a gift from my mother-in-law, Julie. Thank you very much. I use it all the time. So yeah, I like to start with a base of almond milk, and I add hemp heart, so I have a bit more protein in there. And then I'll add my secret weapon is my microgreen powder, as you mentioned, at making a green powder. So if we just want to talk about green powder for a second, so anytime I have extra greens, microgreens, or even kale or spinach or any kind of extra green that I can't quite finish and it's going to go bad, I'll dehydrate it. If you don't have a dehydrator, you can do it in your oven, just at the lowest setting on a cookie sheet until it is just dry and crispy, and you could just crunch it up. And then I'll put it in the blender until it's a nice powder and sift it, so you just get a really nice green powder.
Yeah.
So I understand why green powder is so expensive in the stores, because you start with, well, you can't see my hands, this much, and then once it's dehydrated, you get this much. But you know what's in it, you know all the nutrients that are in there, so it's so easy to just sneak that into everything. So yeah, I like to add a nice hearty scoop of microgreen powder, and then any kind of leafy green that I have. So load it up with microgreens, like sunflower is great, pea shoots great, broccoli is great. We do have a red radish as well. It can be a little spicy, so it's nice to have some. I don't do all radish in my smoothie, that's for sure. And then any fresh fruit. So definitely a banana if I have strawberries, or if I have anything else, avocado or blueberries. And then I like to top it up with some frozen fruit. So I don't like to use ice personally. I don't need it that cold or that thick, but I do like frozen fruit because that becomes my ice. And blend it up, and that gets me going, fueled every morning.
Yeah, that's good. So good. Yeah, we do something similar to that as well. And just frozen fruit and avocado is so good. Yeah, so if you're in the comments, we'd love to know your smoothie recipe. If you have a go-to, I kind of change mine up every time depending what we have.
Yeah, depends what you have on hand.
Yeah, I used to be a protein powder person. Now I don't, because you get the natural proteins, like you said, from the peas or the sunflowers. And I feel like if you're going for the whole source, like whole food, it's just so much more beneficial. And if you don't happen to have it on hand, then, well, like you said, you could make the powder, this microgreen powder or kale powder, or whatever. That's awesome. But for those other days, you could get protein powder. But if not, yeah, or hemp hearts and chia seeds are so good for that. Yeah, so good. Any last comments before we wrap up, Dawn Marie? Anything that I missed or that you'd like to share?
With the green powder, if I say I don't have any fresh microgreens just ready on hand, the green powder it's as long as it's in an airtight container, it'll last for a long time. So that's another, like you were saying, like a really sneaky way to get it into all your food. So even if say you're having, not the healthiest meal that night, you can still know that you have nutrients. So say you're making just pierogies or nachos, there's no nutritional benefit there, but you can sprinkle your green powder and know, hey, my family might not fully notice, or they might just get used to seeing everything as green on it. But I know that I have some vegetables on my nachos that you might not normally do. So it's a great way to sneak things in. You can have it on your... Sorry?
You just ate a whole stalk of broccoli.
Exactly. Broccoli and nachos.
There you go.
Yeah, you can sneak it into your salad dressings and into any kind of sauce. Like, it's very easy to just mask it in there, and your family wouldn't notice, but you know.
Yeah. No, that's so good. Okay, lastly, where can people find you? I know not everybody is in the Lower Mainland, but if they are, where can they find you, or just find out more information just about microgreens in the area? I know you guys have some really good blog posts on your website as well for information for people.
Sure, yeah, definitely check out our website, foodonthegrow.com. If you are in the Lower Mainland, you can find us at Palm Natural.
BC.
Oh, sorry, yeah. We're so used to our area.
People don't know what that is.
The Lower Mainland near Vancouver. You can find us at Palm Natural Market in Port Coquitlam, and also Ralph's Farm Market in Langley. And we are very excited to announce, starting today, we will be launching our home delivery system. So if you go to our website, starting today. So go to foodonthegrow.com and look in our shop section, and you can create your own custom bundle of what type of microgreens you would like. There's also microgreen salad. You're right, we didn't touch on wheatgrass, but there's that as well. And we will deliver it within the Lower Mainland area. Sorry if you live on the island or further. Eventually we may expand that way, but for now we're just keeping our local footprint. And if you are outside of our area and you're just too far for us to reach you, there definitely will be microgreens if you look in a health food store, any kind of natural grocery store, even a main grocery store. Check out the produce section. Maybe with the herbs, they might be packaged, but you can still get some benefit from your packaged microgreens for sure.
Yeah,
so check out there. Check out farmers markets when they start to open up again.
Yes, I heard that some of them will be, which is like such good news. People are just on lockdown, and farmers need to sell their stuff, and we need it. Like, we need produce, fresh produce. There was a few weeks ago where I was like really locked down, like we were just really careful, and I hadn't had a salad for, I don't know, a little while. And it was the first time in my life where my mouth was like watering for a salad. I need some veggies.
Absolutely.
And then our parents were so sweet and dropped us off some veggies and microgreens. So, but yeah, definitely in this time, this is, if you're watching this later, this is the COVID-19 season. And so obviously we're all a little nervous to get sick. So we need to boost our immune system. And Dawn Marie shared one of the best, easiest, most nutrient packed ways to do that and to boost strengthen just your inner self and your immune system. So thank you for doing that. And I always like to leave us with a challenge. So obviously today we've been talking about greens, and whether you have access to microgreens or not, any green is going to be beneficial. So your kales, your spinach, your cilantro, any of the herbs, they all have so much nutrients in them, and we just need to incorporate them into our life more and more. So your challenge for this week is at least 5 days of the week, I want you to be purposeful about adding greens into your day. So whether that's in a smoothie or stir fry, or maybe you go out and you get some greens and make a powder and sprinkle it on everything you can. But make
cereal.
What's that?
On your cereal, anything.
Well, yeah. Sometimes I put weird things on my ice cream, but
there you go. Maybe when you're pregnant.
Yes. And so thank you so much, Donnie, for coming. And we really appreciate having you here. And she lives, a boat ride, 2 boat rides away from me. So it's really nice to see her face and hear her voice. We miss her here. And we're just thankful for this conversation. Next week, Stephanie and I will be back, and we're going to be talking a little bit more about just more AO1 specific mission, where we're going in the next couple months, so you know where we're headed. And tomorrow is Wednesday, so at 8:30 a.m. we still have our free workout, and Steph has a really good one planned for tomorrow. So show up. All you need is basically you and yourself. You don't even need equipment if you don't have it. Every level is possible. It's scalable, and we're glad to have you part of that. So we'll see you tomorrow and next week. And we hope you have a great rest of your night. Bye.
Thanks for having me. Bye.
Bye, Donnie.